Let's get to Ed Henry back there to you in the D.C. Bureau. Just real quickly, Ed, are you getting any response from McCain camp or Obama camp?
Yeah.
And also, too, I mean, just listening to what Tony Fratto had to say and hearing the Republicans come before the cameras there. You know, the GOP is saying this is not a partisan issue, yet they're blaming Nancy Pelosi for the failure that happened today. I mean, are they trying to have it, or is it trying to have it both ways?
Well, I think there are going to be some very tough questions for the Republican leadership. You're absolutely right. I mean, number one, when you look at it, when they're pointing the finger at Nancy Pelosi for not delivering enough votes, she delivered, as I look at the sheet here, 140 Democratic votes. Clearly, her aides are pointing out about 66% of her caucus, whereas John Boehner only produced 65 Republican votes, around 30% of his caucus, and he had 133 no Republican votes. As you and I have been talking for the last hour or so, those 133 House Republicans voting against it, that's what killed the bill, not Democrats voting against it. And secondly, they're mentioning this Pelosi speech. I'm still myself, as you were talking and had Tony Fratto on, I'm looking at on this laptop what Nancy Pelosi said, and I'm not finding the partisan thing that they say sort of inflamed Republican members. At one point she said, quote, "We have worked in a bipartisan way. I acknowledge Mr. Blunt and Mr. Boehner on trying to find common ground, but we insisted the taxpayer be covered." She was talking about how the Democrats pushed for one specific provision, but was clearly there also saying that the Republicans were finding common ground. So I'm not sure, we've got to fact check exactly what the Republicans are saying about whether Pelosi's speech was really that partisan. Finally, I will point out we're about to hear from Barack Obama, so he's going to get some equal time in terms of he's going to speak out in Denver. Suzanne Malveaux is there. We're going to hear what his reaction to this vote is. But let me tell you what Senator McCain's aides are saying. I just spoke to one of his campaigns who's charging that this was, quote, failed leadership by Barack Obama that did not get the job done. The McCain camp is obviously trying to say that last week the Republican caucus, it was reported widely there were only 4 House Republicans on board with this bill. And then they're pointing out John McCain suspended his campaign. He came back to Washington. He was working on it. And they're claiming that he was able to get up to 65 House Republicans instead of just 4, and that he had a lot of movement, but Democrats didn't provide enough movement. And the operative quote from a McCain aide is, quote, "It failed because Barack Obama phoned it in." Now, that's a repeat of what we heard from John McCain a little earlier this morning in Columbus, Ohio. Before this vote, John McCain said just that, essentially, that Democrats had phoned it in, but I showed leadership. So this is very important to point out, that the McCain camp moving forward is going to try to run away from the fact that this lost with so many Republican no votes and say, look, we tried all we could. Barack Obama didn't work hard enough. I spoke briefly to an Obama aide who said that's nonsense. This wasn't about John McCain and Barack Obama. The Republicans couldn't deliver the votes.